You remember the feeling. That small, quiet victory at the bottom of your chest when your manager pulled you into the conference room and said they were moving you up. The handshake, the new title, the vague promise of more responsibility. The first day you sat at the new desk, you probably felt taller. The second day, you noticed the inbox was deeper. The third day, you caught yourself wondering if happiness was supposed to feel heavier than this. Here is what nobody prepares you for. The promotion itself is not the destination. It is a door that opens into an entirely different kind of room, one with new problems, new politics, and a new kind of loneliness. The evidence for this is not anecdotal, it is measurable. A meta-analysis conducted in 2022 by Liu, Wang, and Zhang, published in Psychological Bulletin, looked across 45 independent studies involving a total of 23,714 participants. They found a small positive effect of promotion on well-being. The overall effect size was a modest 0.25 standard deviations. But here is the critical detail the headlines missed. The heterogeneity score was 78%, which in research terms means that for a substantial portion of the sample, the effect was either null or negative. Some people got promoted and felt worse than before, worse than their peers who stayed in the same role. And the uncomfortable question is not whether you are one of them. The question is why we have built an entire corporate system around a promise that fails for nearly 1 in 4 people who take it. If that statistic landed in your chest the way it landed in mine, you already recognize the dissonance. The system sold you a story, and the numbers just showed you the fine print. Subscribe if you want to keep pulling back the curtain on the hidden mechanics of the workplace. We are only beginning to map the territory. And in the comments, drop the word heterogeneity if this mismatch between the promise and the evidence is something you have felt personally. To understand why, you have to go back to a factory floor in Highland Park, Michigan, in the year 1914. Henry Ford had just implemented the 5-day workweek and a formal promotion ladder. Workers who met output quotas were promised higher wages and supervisory titles. It was the birth of the modern career ladder, and it was a genuine breakthrough for its time. The problem is that this system was designed for a world where work was physical, repetitive, and measurable. You could count the exact number of bolts tightened per minute. You could compare line workers directly. 110 years later, we are still using the same ladder. But the work has changed. The pace has changed. The psychology of the worker has changed. And the ladder itself has become a treadmill. The 1972 Harvard Business Review article by Robert D. Greene, titled The Career Ladder, officially cemented the model that upward mobility equals employee motivation. Greene's logic was sound in an era of industrial expansion, but it created a cultural assumption that has never been seriously questioned. The assumption that more responsibility, more hours, and more visibility always lead to more satisfaction. The data from the last decade tells a different story. In 2020, Heller, Schmidt, and Weber analyzed data from the German Socioeconomic Panel following 3,200 respondents over 2 years. They found that promotion increased monthly net income by 12%. That is a real, concrete financial gain. But when they measured happiness using the Cantril ladder, a standard scale for subjective well-being, the effect was statistically insignificant. The beta coefficient was 0.03, with a p-value of 0.21. In plain language, the raise changed your bank account, but did not change how you felt about your life. The money arrived. The contentment did not. If you have ever received a promotion and felt a quiet disappointment that you could not name, you already understand what the numbers confirm. The raise promises relief, but the new role brings role overload. In 2018, Harvard Business Review published The Promotion Paradox by Rines and Gerhard. They documented that 60% of senior managers reported no increase in happiness after a promotion. The primary reason was increased role overload. You get promoted because you were excellent at your old job. Then you are given a new job you have never done before, with more emails, more meetings, and more pressure to perform at a level you have not yet reached. You lose the competence you had and gain a competence you do not yet possess. This gap between expectation and experience is not a personal failing. It is a structural design flaw. The system assumes that every step up the ladder is a step toward fulfillment. But the ladder was built for a factory, not for a human brain. The psychological research on status attainment, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2023 by Keltner and Lerner, showed something striking. They experimentally assigned participants to a higher status role, a simulated promotion. Perceived status rose by 1.8 points on a 10-point scale. That is a real jump. The participants felt more important, but self-reported life satisfaction barely moved. The delta was 0.04 points, with a p-value of 0.48. The status hit your ego. It did not touch your well-being. Now consider this. The same study showed that the people who expected the promotion to make them happier before they got it were the most disappointed after they received it. The gap between the imagined future and the actual present is where the dissatisfaction lives. The dream of the title, the corner office, the email signature with the new designation. That dream is a fantasy created by a century of corporate propaganda. The reality is a heavier workload, a lonelier position, and the creeping suspicion that you were happier when nobody expected anything from you. And here is where it becomes personal. You have felt this. If you have ever sat in a new office chair on your first day as a manager and felt a strange hollowness. Instead of pride, you already know the evidence matches your experience. The 2024 study by Mayer and Davis, published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, followed 1,112 nurses over 12 months. Those who received a promotion showed a 22% increase in emotional exhaustion. Their intrinsic motivation dropped by 9%. They were more burned out and less internally driven than they were before, and they were caring for other people's lives. The cost of the promotion was measured in human energy, not just dollars. The problem is not that promotions are bad. The problem is that promotions are sold as a cure for every dissatisfaction. When you feel stuck, the ladder promises progress. When you feel undervalued, the promotion promises recognition. When you feel unfulfilled, it promises meaning. But the ladder cannot deliver on those promises because it was never built to carry them. It was built to measure productivity, not to generate happiness. The 2013 Project Oxygen findings from Google's People Operations team are instructive here. Google analyzed thousands of data points to determine what really predicted employee satisfaction. The strongest correlation, at 0.42, was not salary or promotion. It was managerial behaviors, recognition, coaching, psychological safety, the things that make work human, not hierarchical. The promotion was a weak predictor. What actually mattered was how your manager treated you every single day. This is the hidden truth that corporate culture avoids. The promotion is a single event. The experience of being valued, challenged, and respected is a daily process. And our entire system is designed to celebrate the event while ignoring the process. The glass ceiling, a term coined by Carol Himowitz and Timothy Shellhart in 1995 in Businessweek, was originally about gender barriers. But the concept applies more broadly. Many high-performing employees hit an invisible barrier where further promotion becomes impossible, and their satisfaction does not change. They are stuck. The promotion ladder ends, and they realize that the rungs below were exactly the same height. If you have followed this far, you are part of a growing minority who refuse to accept the default story. Subscribe to stay with us as we continue dissecting the architecture of the modern workplace. The next piece will show you what really predicts satisfaction, and it is not a title. And in the comments, drop the phrase daily process if you have ever felt that the event of promotion was empty compared to the experience of being genuinely seen. 45% of U.S. employees now say that a promotion would not make them happier. That is the result of a 2023 Pew Research Center survey of 2,504 adults. Nearly half of the workforce has already figured out what the research confirms. The title does not deliver. The raise does not fix the emptiness. And yet, the machine keeps running. Every year, millions of workers chase a status change that statistically does not improve their well-being. The Gallup State of the American Workplace report from 2022 found that 30% of U.S. workers would consider leaving their employer if they did not receive a promotion within 2 years. The threat of leaving is real, but the escape does not come from the promotion. It comes from understanding that the ladder is not the destination. So, what happens when you stop climbing? The corporate theater of promotion is a system designed to keep you moving. But the evidence shows that movement alone does not create satisfaction. The 2021 longitudinal study by O'Neill and Miller, published in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology, tracked 2,345 tech employees over 24 months. At 6 months post-promotion, life satisfaction scores rose by 0.12 standard deviations. Stress scores rose by 0.18 standard deviations. The satisfaction gain was positive, but by 24 months, the life satisfaction gain had completely vanished. The delta was 0.02, statistically indistinguishable from zero. The stress, however, remained elevated. You get a short-term happiness bump from the promotion. Then you habituate. The new title becomes normal, the new salary becomes your baseline, and you are left with the same emotional architecture you had before, only now with more responsibilities. This is the hedonic treadmill applied to work. You run faster, you stay in the same place, and the treadmill does not stop. The most dangerous part of this system is that it makes you believe the problem is you. When the promotion does not fix the emptiness, you assume you need a bigger promotion. You aim higher, you work harder, you chase a level that will finally make the feeling disappear. But the feeling is not a bug. It is a feature of the ladder itself. The ladder demands that you always look up. It cannot afford for you to be satisfied where you are. If you have spent years climbing and still feel a quiet dissatisfaction, you are not broken. You are responding normally to a system that was never designed for your well-being. The 1911 Frederick Winslow Taylor model of scientific management linked promotions to measurable productivity. The 1914 Ford promotion ladder tied advancement to output quotas. The 1972 Green Career Ladder equated mobility with motivation. Every layer of this structure was built by industrial engineers and efficiency experts, not by psychologists or neuroscientists. The ladder measures output. It does not measure joy. The 2001 William Kahn article that shifted corporate focus from promotion to engagement changed the conversation, but not the machine. Companies started talking about engagement. They built engagement surveys. They hired engagement officers. But the structural reward system remained the same. The promotion was still the ultimate prize. The engagement was a bandage on a broken assumption. And now, the evidence is overwhelming. The 2018 promotion paradox confirmed what the German panel, the meta-analysis, and the tech sector longitudinal study all showed. The promotion does not deliver the happiness it promises. 60% of senior managers felt no increase in happiness. That is not a minority. That is a majority. The people at the top of the ladder are not happier than the people at the bottom. They are just more tired. The corporate office, with its fluorescent lights and its endless meetings, is a machine that rewards you by giving you more of the thing that makes you unhappy. More responsibility, more pressure, more distance from the actual work that once gave you satisfaction. The irony is that most people do not leave a job because they lack a title. They leave because they lack autonomy, respect, or connection. The promotion offers none of those. It offers a new title and a heavier load. You already know this. The moment you got promoted and felt the weight settle, you knew. The system expects you to perform gratitude. It expects you to smile through the emails that arrive at 10 p.m. It expects you to act like the new corner office is the prize you always wanted. But if you are honest, what you wanted was not the corner office. You wanted to feel that your work mattered. You wanted to feel that you were growing. You wanted to feel that the people around you saw you. And that is the truth that no promotion can deliver. The feeling of mattering is not a title. It is a daily experience. And the ladder does not provide experiences. It provides positions. What would happen if you stopped climbing? The fear is that you would stagnate. The fear is that you would fall behind. But the data suggests otherwise. The people who stay in roles where they feel competent, valued, and autonomous report higher life satisfaction than those who constantly climb. The 2020 German panel showed that income increased by 12% with promotion. But the 2023 Pew survey showed that 45% of employees already know the promotion will not help. They are right. The secret that the corporate system tries to hide is that the ladder is optional. You can build a career on depth, not just height. You can find satisfaction in mastery, not just status. The evidence from Google's Project Oxygen shows that coaching and recognition matter more than salary. The evidence from the PNAS study shows that status does not increase life satisfaction. The evidence from the 2024 Journal of Applied Psychology study shows that promotion increases burnout. The full picture is clear. The promotion is a risky bet that statistically fails to pay off in happiness. The system will keep selling you the dream. The 1914 Ford ladder has been running for over 100 years. The 1972 Green Career Ladder has been institutionalized in every HR department. The 1995 glass ceiling has been acknowledged, but not dismantled. but you now have the vocabulary to name the mismatch. You know that the promotion is a promise about output, not fulfillment. You know that the raise does not repair the emptiness. You know that the status does not touch the soul. The question is not whether you will get promoted again. The question is whether you will keep climbing a ladder that was built for a factory floor in 1914, or whether you will finally build something that matches who you actually are. If that last sentence landed, you are standing at the edge of a decision. Subscribe now because the next video will give you the exact framework to design a career around depth instead of height, and you will not want to face that alone. And in the comments, tell us one word, the thing you really want that no promotion can give you. Just one word. That is the start of the conversation the corporate system does not want you to have.